Jungkook was ready. Or at least, he thought he was. Ever since Taehyung's words that night, Jungkook had thrown himself into work. Every detail of the project was his. Every decision, every meeting, he made sure no one could question his capabilities. Slowly, the skepticism within the company started to fade. It wasn't gone, but people had stopped treating him like a charity case. And most importantly, Minho hadn't made another move. Yet, that changed 2 weeks later. When Jungkook received an invitation. HJ Corp exclusive CEO Gala, an event where powerful figures from the business world gathered. And Minho had personally sent him the invite. Jungkook hesitated. Taehyung didn't. "You're not going," Jungkook frowned. "Why not?" Taehyung scoffed. "Because it's a trap," Jungkook exhaled. "I know that. But if I don't go, it'll look like I'm running." Taehyung's expression darkened. "Jungkook, I need to prove that I can handle this." Taehyung. Silence. Then, after a long moment, Taehyung sighed. "Fine," his jaw clenched. "But I'm coming with you." Jungkook blinked. "You if Minho wants to play games," Taehyung murmured, leaning in. "He'll have to do it while looking me in the eye." Jungkook swallowed. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about business anymore. It was a war. The night of the gala arrived. Jungkook stood by Taehyung's side, dressed in an elegant black suit, his expression calm, composed. But the moment they entered the grand ballroom, all eyes were on them. Whispers, stares, speculation. And at the center of it all, Minho. The man smirked as he approached, his sharp eyes flickering between Jungkook and Taehyung. Well, he drawled. "I didn't think you'd actually show up, Jungkook." Jungkook forced a polite smile. "Why wouldn't I?" Minho chuckled. "Oh, no reason. I just assumed Kim Taehyung would keep his favorite little assistant on a tighter leash." Jungkook's fingers curled into fists. But before he could respond, Taehyung stepped closer, voice dangerously soft. "If you're this obsessed with Jungkook, Minho," he said, smirking, "I'd start questioning whether it's business or something else that's keeping you up at night." Minho's smirk faltered. Jungkook bit back a laugh. "Game on." Minho's smirk returned, but this time, there was something sharper beneath it. "Oh, Taehyung," he chuckled, swirling the wine in his glass. Still as possessive as ever, his gaze flickered toward Jungkook. "Tell me, Jungkook, does it bother you that no matter how capable you're, people will always see you as nothing more than his?" Jungkook clenched his jaw. But before he could speak, Taehyung's hands settled on his lower back, a silent warning. Minho was baiting him. And they both knew it. Jungkook took a deep breath, schooling his expression. "I don't need to prove myself to you, Mr. Choi," he said smoothly. "The results of my work will speak for themselves." Minho hummed. "Of course. And yet, the media seems to think otherwise." He gestured toward a nearby group of journalists, their cameras flashing every time someone so much as blinked. Jungkook followed his gaze, his stomach twisting. He knew what Minho was doing. If Jungkook lost his temper here, if he gave Minho even the slightest reaction, it would be splashed across headlines within minutes. Jian Jungkook, a reckless, emotional mess. Kim Taehyung's lover can't handle the pressure. He refused to give them that satisfaction. Jungkook exhaled. Then, with a polite smile, he turned back to Minho. "You seem really invested in me," he mused. "Should I be flattered?" Minho's smirk twitched. Taehyung let out a low chuckle beside him, eyes gleaming. "Good," he murmured, just for Jungkook to hear. Minho tilted his head. "Well then, since you're so confident, how about a little challenge?" Jungkook frowned. "What kind of challenge?" Minho leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "If your project fails, you resign." Jungkook stiffened. Minho smiled. "Of course, if you succeed, I'll publicly admit I was wrong about you." A hush fell between them. Minho knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't just about Jungkook's skills anymore. This was about his place, his existence in this world. If Jungkook backed down, it would only fuel the rumors. But if he agreed, there would be no room for failure. Silence stretched. Then, finally, Jungkook lifted his chin. "Fine," he said, voice unwavering. Minho's eyes gleamed. "Wonderful." Later that night, after the gala had ended, Taehyung and Jungkook rode home in silence. Jungkook sat stiffly in the car, replaying the conversation over and over again in his head. "Then, why did you accept?" Taehyung's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Jungkook swallowed. "Because if I didn't, Minho would have won before the project even started." Taehyung exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. "That's not what I'm asking." Jungkook turned to him. "Then what are you asking?" Taehyung's jaw tightened. "You don't have to fight this alone, Jungkook." Jungkook's breath hitched. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Because for so long, he had been fighting alone. And now, suddenly, there was someone beside him. Someone who wouldn't let him fall. Slowly, hesitantly, Jungkook nodded. "Okay." Taehyung studied him for a long moment. Then, with a sigh, he reached out, fingers brushing against Jungkook's. Just a touch. Just enough to remind him, "You're not alone." The day of the final project presentation arrived. Jungkook stood at the head of the boardroom, his heartbeat steady despite the tension in the air. Across from him sat the board members, investors, Taehyung, watching with quiet confidence, and Minho. The man sat with his arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips as if he already knew Jungkook would fail. But Jungkook had worked too hard for this. He wasn't here to lose. He took a deep breath. Then, he began. The presentation lasted an hour. Jungkook answered every question, counted every doubt, and presented his data with absolute precision. By the end, the room was silent. Then, one of the senior board members cleared his throat. "This is impressive," he admitted, nodding. "Well researched, innovative, and profitable." The others murmured in agreement. Even those who had once doubted him were now looking at him with newfound respect. Jungkook exhaled slowly. He had done it. Minho stood abruptly, forcing a smile. "Well," he said, voice tight, "I suppose congratulations are in order." Jungkook met his gaze head-on. "I believe you have something to say, Mr. Choi." Minho's jaw clenched. He had no choice. Before the entire board, before Taehyung, he had to admit defeat. "Wrong about you," Minho bit out. Jungkook smirked. "I appreciate your honesty." Taehyung let out a low chuckle from his seat. And just like that, Jungkook had won. That night, Jungkook stood in Taehyung's penthouse, gazing out at the city lights. It was over. He had proved himself. So why did he still feel so restless? He didn't realize Taehyung had approached until he felt warm arms wrap around his waist from behind. "You did it," Taehyung murmured against his ear. Jungkook sighed, leaning into his touch. Yeah, I did. Taehyung pressed a soft kiss to the side of his neck. I'm proud of you. Jungkook's chest tightened. He turned in Taehyung's arms, looking up at him. I couldn't have done it without you. Taehyung's eyes softened. You could have, he smirked. But I'm glad you let me stand beside you. Jungkook let out a breathy laugh. Then, before he could overthink it, he grabbed Taehyung's collar and pulled him down into a. Taehyung groaned, deepening it instantly, pressing Jungkook against the glass window as their bodies molded together. I was so close to punching Minho today, Taehyung muttered against his lips. Jungkook laughed. But you didn't. I wanted you to win on your own, Taehyung grinned. And watching you shut him up was way more satisfying. Jungkook rolled his eyes. You're impossible, Taehyung chuckled, pressing another to his lips. And for the first time in a long time, Jungkook felt safe. Felt wanted. Felt like he belonged. Taehyung pulled him closer. And Jungkook knew this was just the beginning.